What you may not know about California's sex offender registry. California's sex offender registry is for life, regardless of the registrant's age. And it has over 100,000 registrants, which is very expensive. In fact, the costs increase year after year without any significant increase in public safety. This is one of the reasons why California is one of only 4 states in the U.S. that still have universal lifetime registration. Want to know more? Let's ask the experts. Who are these people who have committed a sex offense?
People who've committed sexual offenses range from people who committed an offense like sending an inappropriate text message over the internet, all the way to people who have committed violent and serious offenses such as rape or child molestation.
They differ in age, they differ in gender, they differ in socioeconomic status, they differ in many, many other characteristics.
You seem to be saying that they aren't all the same. Is that right?
Offenders are very different.
To treat them all the same, to think of them as being all the same, is a mistake, and we should be very careful not to go that direction.
We sometimes hear it said that they all reoffend. Is that true?
It is not true that all offenders reoffend.
Research, both in California and nationally, shows that the majority of sex offenders, once they've been caught and punished for their offense, are very unlikely to commit a new sex crime.
We do know that some of them do, but we know that most of them don't. And proceeding as though all of them will leads us in a very unhelpful direction.
Do they all have the same risk of reoffending?
They have very different risks.
High-risk offenders have approximately a 29% chance of committing a new offense within 5 years of release from incarceration, whereas low-level offenders have less than 1% chance of recidivism.
Why is risk assessment so important?
Risk assessment is really the key to allocating resources to effective management of sex offenders in the community.
By understanding risk assessment, the public can be more concerned or more aware of those individuals who are of greater concern.
We don't want any sex offender to reoffend, but the energy needs to go toward those who are most likely to reoffend.
Is the length of time an offender is on the registry determined by their risk level?
We have a lifetime registration law in California that does not take risk level into account with how long a person has to register.
California is one of only 4 states that still have lifetime requirement for offenders.
It's true, in California we have a one-size-fits-all policy that all sex offenders must register and must register for life.
Are there any negative consequences of universal lifetime sex offender registration?
When someone is on the registry for life, every aspect of their life is impacted.
That creates barriers to obtaining housing, to obtaining jobs, to being able to create positive relationships with people, and it may actually make us less safe as a community.
So universal lifetime registration doesn't increase public safety?
Research shows that registration itself doesn't deter reoffending by sex offenders.
The vast majority of individuals committing new sex offenses are not known offenders.
The statistics show that most offenses are committed by first-time offenders, not by people who've already been convicted.
What works to decrease recidivism levels in sex offenders is to not paint them with a broad brush, not treat them as the same, but to recognize that they are all different, they're individuals, and they require offender-specific treatment.
But isn't universal lifetime registration what survivors want?
I think for a long time we tried to draw a bright line between people who've been victimized and people who commit sexual harm. And I don't believe it's a line that makes sense.
Many victims don't see the person who abused them as a monster. The victim may see the person as dad.
We need to keep in mind that every individual is unique and different, and options just expand the opportunities for healing processes.
We need to come together to build a platform that truly puts survivors' needs and survivors' voices at the center, and that's focused on long-term prevention and collective healing, really.
So now that we know a little more about what works and what doesn't, we can make policies that include risk assessment to help us use resources more effectively, which will ultimately increase public safety and bring us that much closer to living in a world free from sexual violence.